cases reported in this alone through the now looking of reported I mean, just first of all taking a look at
Assault in Nigeria, it's quite well. It's not so much an pandemic. We've gone beyond the epidemic. So, first thing you should ask me. I mean, it's so many forms. Got have harassment. Got have harassment. And you have Yeah, you have. It comes so many different types of rape. You need a power. It's an act where somebody has power over another person, and the weaker person or the apparent weaker person becomes the victim. Weaker person becomes the victim. So sexual harassment in Nigeria. With No More, I focus more on so the objective of No More is, one, to encourage survivors to speak up, and that's the first thing. We must stop calling them victims.
Okay.
If you've survived such a thing, you are a survivor. You're no longer a victim, because nobody's looking for pity. They're just looking for action. So first of all, so we always refer to them as survivors. So the objective of No More is to empower survivors to be able to speak out. One, speak out their experience because of the silence culture that we have in Nigeria. And number two is also for them to be able to name their perpetrator, because, again, of the silence culture we have in Nigeria. People are silenced away. And what happens is impunity then rules, because why have we ended up in a pandemic rather than an epidemic is the fact that it's become, perpetrators now they're protected by impunity, because we have such an abysmally low rate of conviction, if any at all. So yes, that's I don't know how much more you want me to go into for the introduction.
That's a great introduction, Ms. Ireti. And Lagos, do you know that you can get in touch with us in the studio?
Yeah, so you can call us first of all with through this number. Call 0144899981, and please, you can send messages through WhatsApp to this number 0809444091. On Twitter, where we're at Smooth981FM, you can use this hashtag Lagos Talks 981.
All right, so we know that right now globally, there does seem to be a lot of attention being paid to sexual assault in its different forms and these sort of abuses as they go on. Within Nigeria, a big question that seems to come up when anyone discusses sexual assault is, isn't it being blown out of proportion? Why should Nigerians care about this? Why is it an issue? Is it really an issue? Because there are also people who genuinely believe that it is blown out of proportion, and that we live in a hypersensitive world where there are a lot of people that make claims. We know that most typically the reports that come out, it tends to be females accusing male, whether it's friends, counterparts, people they work, it doesn't really matter. Also, we are seeing cases reported even within education institutions, and I'm not just talking the tertiary. We've seen some of the most horrific cases being reported from primary school levels. So thoughts on that, and Sina, I would love you to just chip in as well whenever you're ready.
So here's why you should care on several levels, but aside of the fact that we need to be our brother's keepers and the trauma. I mean, I know we keep saying trauma. It really is traumatic of when somebody goes through such a horrific attack. It lasts, and it can last for a long time. Emotional, psychological, physiological, you name it, it goes on. But let me bring you back to something that we fail to actually underline in this country. Nigeria is a developing country. Okay. We talk about the fact that we have a mass youth population, right? Now, in our educational institutions, primary, secondary, university, that's where our mass youth population come from, right? We know that we need a high skilled workforce in order to meet up with our development goals, correct? Right. That's number one. That's why you should care. Because what happens? The majority of survivors, those who go through sexual assault in school, in university, they tend to drop out. And what happens when you drop out? You stop being able to contribute adequate in a way that you can. The talent, it's if you like, it's sort of, how should I say, watered down, sometimes eradicated. There was with the Mirabel Center. and a young girl who was living with her father. Over several years, her father had been lending her to his brother to rape her. This is a true story.
Wow.
It isn't fiction. It isn't Africa Magic. It isn't a film from Hollywood. So over the years, her father had been lending her to his brother to rape her, and the father would collect money from the brother. Okay, eventually when the brother, I think the brother died or he stopped, the father took over and continued to rape her.
His daughter.
Yes, his daughter. Everybody she told didn't believe her. Eventually, she ended up on the streets. And not only did she end up on the streets, she ended up being extremely violent, and she would fight and be aggressive. And nobody once asked the question, what is going on here? So eventually she has a fight with somebody outside. The police gets called, and it takes one policewoman to sit her down and talk to her. And there's something not right here. Something is wrong here. Now, that's an extreme case that I give you. But I'm telling you that if we don't care about our people, if we don't care about the young people in this country, and I'm not saying it doesn't, you have to look at the fact that universities and primary schools, especially universities, that's the beginning of adulthood. That's where your behavior, if you like, he's sort of nurtured for you to go out into society and contribute to society. If you go through that form of abuse, and there's many layers to this, if you go through that form of abuse, by the time you get out in there, you have learned a behavior.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that behavior tends to follow you all the way through.
Hold that thought, Ms. Ireti, as we look into many more issues and questions about this. We'll come back after the short break. We'll take right now. We'll asking questions regarding possibility of creating safe havens, the kind of support systems that may exist or should exist in our society, and take your questions. Remember that number to call is 0144899981.
Feel free to contribute.
I'm so fascinated by what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's
It does that.
I don't want to just interrupt you.
Yes, it does. It does that. It does freak you out, but feel free to.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I will ask you directly.
Yeah.
When we come back, because we're talking about the importance of caring.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Girl Gone International does, and how it tries to care for people,
There you
and
go.
why that's an important type of care to give, and how it helps in the development. Because Mr. Ireti touched on something important, which are developmental issues
Yes.
that happen when you've been a survivor of such a thing and it's never addressed. Mr. Ireti, we're going to go back as well and look at, because I know Lagos State talks about the numbers doubling this year, but is it that it's doubling, or is it that it's just people are more comfortable to report this now, whether it's because of the atmosphere that currently exists, or because of organizations like yours that are actively trying to get women to understand that it's okay, you're not alone. This does happen, unfortunately, but we can address it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. People are more confident because they feel like there's protection.
That's all.
Well,
that's
that's
why
their
we face reports,
encouraging
because it's not that it
conversation.
wasn't happening before.
Yeah. We're encouraging conversation. And incidentally, the myth that I will shatter for them when we get on air is that, forget it, we don't even know the real numbers.
half of those.
We don't know the true numbers.
Nowhere.
Because if there's one thing we know in Nigeria is that, look, I do a
It's
lot
based
of
where
research on
everything is
this. Yes, lots of research on this. No, the numbers are not even, you can't find it on the net. There are people who are writing papers. I'm telling you, samples are 300, 1,000.
Those are estimates.
Share, pardon, sorry. That's like 000 point my village.
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
You know.
People are simply pretending it's not happening.
Yeah.
And you can't get them all because people won't say
Yeah,
anything.
and there are people
Yeah.
that get very aggressive
Yeah.
when you try and get them to speak. They're like, no, leave it. I've told you it's fine. Leave it alone. I'll handle it. Okay. Cool.
We're back in 20 seconds.
We'll also talk about it just as adults as well.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
Cool.
Excuse me.
We'll get a land because it keeps
Studio is live.
focused. Lagos is
So glad to know that you're there listening to us. You're listening to Smooth 98.1 as part of Lagos Talks special, Lagos Talks 981 special with Fulu and myself, Valentine. We're having a conversation surrounding the sexual violence, especially as it's directed at ladies in the country. And we have special guests in the studio having this conversation with us. We have Mr. Ireti Bakare Yusuf and Sina, who's the community manager for Go Gone International.
All right. So just before the break, we had Ms. Ireti talking to us about why people should care about this. Addressing the reality, people do not think it's important, but please do keep calling 0144899981. And you talked about how it can have a real knock-on effect on someone's life, especially if it's been happening to you from a very young age. And now, speaking of this knock-on effect, we're going to come to you, Sina, in just a second, right after we take this phone call, see what you guys have to say out in the world.
Hey, good morning. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Enzo. Thanks,
Thank
Enzo.
you. Mm.
People keep start asking silly questions. Why did he not dress properly? And I've met counselors counseling young girls, telling them for them in order to avoid rape, they should dress properly. And I stood up and I sent a counselor and told her, when in their need of solutions, the ladies who are telling them to dress properly in order to avoid rape is wrong. Telling a lady to dress properly in order to avoid rape, that means you're directly blaming her whenever she's raped. And the society to get that into their head. People should stop blaming victims of rape. They are 100% innocent. Truth be told, an average Nigerian man is a potential rapist. That's the truth. I've met married women. They are stuck in their marriage home, their marital home. They have been sexually abused on several occasions. But to walk away, to even speak up, tell you no, because they've been programmed and they've been trained and programmed from that to believe that it's useless with a man. Why would a woman stay in a husband for the man is sexually abused and she can't speak up?
All right, Enzo.
Th-
Okay,
Thank you,
Enzo.
Enzo. Yeah. Mm. Th- Thank you
Okay,
very much,
Enzo.
Enzo. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Enzo speaking very passionately there, pointing out a couple of things. First of all, saying there's no relationship between rape and indecent dressing. It is unfortunately a rhetoric that we hear very often, not just in this part of the world, actually globally, and it's really worrying. He says you must stop blaming survivors, and then addresses or touches on a little bit that this happens within marriages where people are abused extensively, and perhaps the community and the environment says, "Oh, just deal with it. It's your marriage." We will come back to asking more questions. Let's go back to the phone lines.
Hello, good morning.
Please turn off your radio. Please turn off your radio. We got horrible feedback there. Go ahead. Let us know your.
The last speaker has said we cannot all together blame the rapist on the basis of indecent drinking. Of course, he contributed to part of it, but wicked people are still wicked people. No matter what they do, they devise various things of carrying on their wicked acts and practices anyway, everywhere. The bottom line is that anyone that is caught in such acts, we should monitor our children. We should question them, and whenever we see things that we suppose not to see them, then we correct them and we caution them. I think with that, it will also go a long way.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sam from Ikorodu, agreeing with Enzo, but making a very worrying comment. he did say that indecent dressing still contributes to it. No, it does not, Mr. Sam. People who are going to commit a crime are going to commit it whether or not you're covered in a hijab from head to toe, or you
bed
are
sheet.
wearing a bed sheet. It doesn't really matter. We've got more calls coming in, so we must just take the rest of these calls. Let's see what else people have to say.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is your name, please? Welcome, Emmanuel. Please go ahead. All right.
Okay, so firstly, those who are commenting about indecent dressing contribute to this child of 5 years old, 6 years old, so I don't think that holds water. And I think we shouldn't be discussing more of the problem, but the solution. When I was in school, I was into this fellowship thingy, and it gave me the opportunity to interact with several people. And I had 3 cases of young ladies who were molested by their parents. One of them, the father masturbated with his daughter, and several other very nasty things going on. And first of all, the stigmatization that comes with going public with it, both from the general public and your family, would make these people recoil, and they won't go public with it because they'll be stigmatized. And because also the society has not created proper platforms that are sustained to help ease this stigmatization. Secondly, fear. The parents and the family institutions would instill fear into them, so they can't go public with it. So they tend to begin to live with it, and it causes psychological degradation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay, Mano. Mm. Mm.
Emmanuel,
we-
for time reasons,
Emmanuel, we do have to take more calls, though, but thank you very much for your comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. So we've had quite a few things that have been said this morning, and Sina, who is in the studio as well, I'm going to ask you this question because Emmanuel, one of the first things he says was we should start discussing solutions. And earlier on, we had said that okay, this does cause a problem. So how do you create environments where people feel safe? How do you create environments that will help girls or women or maybe even men, who knows, who have gone through this sort of thing? What are your thoughts on what's been said so far and possible solutions for the problems we have?
So I think one of the most important things is having somewhere to go, someone you can talk to. So having this app that you're creating is amazing. We have an international women's group, and it didn't exist in Lagos before I came, but I've been part of it in different parts of the world.
Okay.
And the reason I did ask the founders, can I start one here in Lagos, was because there are groups, but as a woman, if you join, you never know who you're going to meet, who's going to be there to be your friend, and who's going to be there to pick you up and take you home. And, it's just exhausting. And so this group that we have now, where there's just women, you can just go and you'll meet at least one person that you enjoy spending time with.
Okay.
And we've had amazing conversations, just going out for dinner, just talking, and things come up. Sometimes when you talk to strangers,
It's easier.
you can say so much more than if you were talking to someone you know or who knows you, more importantly.
Yes.
So these conversations with these still strangers then have been amazing, to just look at things you don't normally talk about. Sexual things that where you kind of like, oh, ask my mother that, don't want to talk to my friend back
They
home.
would understand.
Exactly. But suddenly there's a way you can talk about it. You can open up and you hear, actually, this is not weird, this is normal. Or the other way around, this is not normal, and I should not, be okay
experiencing
with it.
this.
I should not be having to live through this.
Yes.
Okay.
And someone will know someone who can help you. That's the amazing thing. Once you create a network, there's always someone who will say, I know someone that you can go talk to. I know someone who can help you with this.
Thank you very much for that, Ms. Ireti. So talking about being able to talk about this and having access or giving people access to this, we know that technology plays a big role in how people can communicate. A lot of us want to hide sometimes behind that. But you have, with your No More movement, very recently you were involved in and were a second runner-up in quite a major competition where you've created an app to help people report such cases. Can you explain a little bit more what this is?
Yes, but just to go quickly to what Sinna said, I so totally agree, and it falls in line with what the last caller was asking. Conversation. It's important for us to keep talking, honestly. That's the beginning of the solution, believe it or not. Silence is the one that actually enables the crime. Conversation starts to break down the crime. That's the first thing. So now, going back to technology, yes, solution. So in Nigeria, part of the solution, as the right colleague, he was correct in the sense that we need government to take charge. Okay, but advocacy, we can't wait for government to take charge. That's why you have advocate groups. And the point of advocacy and the power of advocacy is the fact that it is what has led to these conversations, is what has led to people's mindset slowly beginning to change. When you start to plant positive and a change of understanding. Previous to that, where you didn't have advocacy, you had people just believing what the next person told them. And believe you me, in a country where we have male privilege, trust me, they all believed it was okay. Right? Now, with advocacy, it's education, and that's what advocacy does. It educates a society. Education is saying, actually, it's not okay. We've had 2 men call in and say, it's not okay. Previously, you may not have had that. And that tells you that we are going forward. So talking about my app very quickly. So whilst researching for one of the articles I wrote on the subject, I came across what I thought was really quite a shocking statistics. Now let's talk statistics very quickly. Stats in Nigeria cannot necessarily be taken for granted because we're such a dense country. We don't even begin to, how should I say, cover the corner, let alone, the breadth and the length of the country. But there was a stat that I came across, and that's because I was wondering, okay, we have rape crimes in Nigeria. How many people have gone to jail for it? And in the history of Nigeria, there had only ever been 18 convictions.
The whole of the country.
58, it said Nigeria. 58 years of Nigeria, and there had only ever been 18 rape convictions. Now, many of you will be screeching out there and say, she can't be right. She can't be this. Look, I say to you that statistic that we're talking about, it might have changed based on the fact that more people are sent to jail now for pedophilia, but not adult rape.
Yeah.
It's quite different, right?
Seriously, we're going to have to just hold on to that thought very quickly. Very, very serious conversation we're having here in Lagos. If you're just tuning in, it is a Lagos Talks 981 special. It's the ugly truth about sexual assault in Nigeria. That's what we're looking at. Our guests in the studio, Ms. Ireti Bakare Yusuf and Sina, who is from the Girl Gone International community, basically. But keep listening. We will be back right after this break. You're listening to Smooth 98.1.
This is Valentino, and you're listening.
Yikes.
Yeah. So what you tend to read is what Lagos State calls defilement, which is another word that I can't stand. Just call it what it is, fucking pedophilia. I mean, they're pedophiles. Just give them the label that pedophiles. Stop saying defilement. What? How many people understand defilement? Exactly.
Sounds like you've smeared a wall.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
And so it's been done deliberately to not offend sensibilities.
Yeah, sensibilities, thankfully. So you have more and more people going to, you hear it more and more in the press of people going to jail for pedophilia. That's because Lagos State has set up a sexual crimes court, a special sexual crimes court. But in that sexual crimes court, you still problem we have is that our judicial system, as you know, Folu is a lawyer, although she's now a rebel. Right. She escaped. Lucky us. As you know, our judicial system, even the judges, they don't understand how to deal with rape cases. It's alien to them. Even in the UK, The whole legal system had to have an overhaul and training and stuff. So you can imagine a country where we don't even have enough lawyers.
Yes,
We don't have enough courts.
judges.
We don't have enough judges.
And a lot of the judges are elderly, and they do have to be retrained.
Yeah.
And
And by the way, they handwrite.
yes,
Everything
no
they say.
stenographer, so it's all handwritten. So they tend to do what is expedient rather than
Yeah.
what is.
So it's very
Different
expedient.
Views anyway, if they're
Yeah, from a different generation,
And that's
exactly.
the big
in
accent.
Germany and
Exactly.
other countries.
Yeah,
That's the point. Expediency, because it's quicker and easier to jail somebody for pedophilia. It's black and white.
yeah.
It's not black and white when it's Ireti against the next man
Or against your husband.
or against your. Well, we don't even recognize marital
Yeah.
rape
They'll just tell you, even as you come to the court,
There's no
"Ask
marital
madam,
rape.
madam.
because
Can't
of the
talk to
ownership
him."
culture. The fact that a man owns a man.
That's already what we've been discussing.
Yeah.
We have to go into more questions. Yeah.
What?
More messages.
Okay.
Lots of messages have come in.
Oh,
so it's
crikey.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when we come back in,
You do your messages and we'll talk the app.
yes, exactly, because there's 10 minutes left.
God, it goes so fast.
It
I
does.
told you.
Crazy.
It
We're
goes
gonna talk
does.
about money after that.
fast.
That's it.
It goes so fast.
It does. Radio time is speedy time. But good stuff, man. It's a good conversation. I have about 20 seconds before we go live. There you go.
Studios live. Or Lagos Talks 981, and that is the hashtag on Twitter. If you're following us at Smooth981FM, we're talking. The topic really for discussion this morning is the ugly truth about sexual violence. Before the break, Mr. Ireti Bakare Yusuf was talking about giving us statistics, raw statistics that actually just jar your mind. It's
Shocking.
very shocking about things that are happening right now. But be reminded that you can send your messages through to us via WhatsApp to 0809 444 0981.
First message in was from Damilola from Ikeja, who actually his first message was saying that he's got a female lawyer friend of his that's very passionate about this. She may not be listening at the moment, but she will definitely want to know how she can make a difference in this sector. So just before we round up, we'll let you know how you can get in touch with our guests. But then he says, personally, I believe the most efficient way to control this is starting with the smallest unit of society, the family. The root of the problem tends to be the male gender. It's not exclusive to them, however, but parents do need to imbibe value of respect into their children. And also social media, we need to do a lot more away with victim blaming. It's a very, very bitter thing to do. Very interesting. He also says, also the war shouldn't be lost before it starts. False rape accusations is a weapon that has been utilized of recent, he says, and if we have more issues of false accusations, it could make the genuine ones harder to fight against.
I disagree. It's so minute, and often rarely do people make false accusations. Trust me.
Okay. We've got more messages still. Aisha from VI sends in this one.
Aisha said, "I'm so excited because a lot of callers are making valid points about victim blaming being wrong and calling out rapists. It honestly warms my heart that we are having conversations like this. Solutions are important, but creating avenues to discuss abuse help too. Thank you for talking about this, guys."
He sends in this message saying the invasion of privacy without consent is against the law. Abusing the female gender simply because your beefy countenance has more strength than hers is a brutal display of impunity and recklessness. Sex is so cheap these days that you cannot justify taking it by force. Thank you very much for that. Let us see if we can take one more message.
Yes, one message. This one's from Big T. It says sexual assault. It is evil and it's rampant. It scars the victim both physically and emotionally. Both male and female suffer this. Our laws are not properly implemented and many get off unpunished. This should change.
Right. So, Mr. Rossi, just before the break, we talked about the glutton in the legal system a little bit, talking about how only 18 people in the history of Nigeria's 58 years so far have been convicted of rape. That number may have moved by maybe 2 decimals or rather two numbers. Who knows? But people are actually touching on very important issues, starting with the smallest unit, the family. There tends to be this focus on survivors and not on educating the male child as to what not to do.
Male privilege.
Any comments on that?
Well, okay. First, let me talk about the app because you asked me about the
I
app
did.
earlier. So, the whole point of the app, so the No More app is for survivors to be able to go in. They go in, you sign in. you actually document your experience. Okay, that goes into an encrypted file which nobody gets access to apart from you. Then you get to name your perpetrator, because what that does is it takes away from you having to go into a police station and having to face what I call trauma part 2, which is often why most people don't report, which is why we have such an abysmally low rate of conviction. Number 3 is then that we're not able to identify repeat offenders in Nigeria. All right? And also we're not able to find witness. By witness, I mean others who have gone through the same ordeal with the same person, under the same attacker. And that's what the app does. The app is able to identify repeat offenders where more than one person has given the same name as their attacker. So in this case, it will be university authorities, because we're starting the universities first. Okay. We will send an email to the university authority to say, right, dear Mr. Vice Chancellor, Mr. B has been reported by 2, 3, 5, 20 different people as having attacked them. Kindly investigate. Notice, Lagos, we are not saying he or she is a rapist. We are saying, please investigate, because it's from investigation that everything then begins to unravel. Right now, we don't have much investigation, if we have any at all. So that's the point of the app. The app is to give power back to the survivors, number 1. Number 2, it's to strengthen our legal system, because what then happens, lawyers are able to actually help and defend and act for their clients strongly. Okay, because often what happens is, because rape and assault is one of those crimes that is witnessless, if you like. Okay, it's often, especially adult, it's often my word against his.
Okay.
So as a user or as a survivor, once you've been able, and people often say to you, who did you tell? Why did you not tell? Why? You have written it down, and it's time stamped.
Okay.
It's time stamped to the point where you are ready. When you are ready and able to take that case to court, the information is there for you.
And a lot of the time is a question of the availability of evidence.
Absolutely. Evidence. Yes, you can actually, that's part of the uploading. You can put pictures if you've got scars, if you've got names, if you have a recording, all of that can be uploaded into where the file that you're putting in your report and locked away. So you don't worry about your phone getting lost, for instance, So all your evidence will be there.
Awesome. Let's see if we can take one more call. Hello, good morning to you. Oh no, we lost that one. Please do call us back, 0144899981. Messages are still coming through. Leo says, until we realize that most rape and abuse cases are a result of mental health gaps, and also institute greater punishments for those that are opportunistic, we will keep talking about strangers or parents committing these crimes. It's a mental health gap, he says, most often. Heightened mental health awareness and checks. Let's also stop all these silos. If it's just men messing up women and women trying to seek help to cage men, call it what it is. It's deranged men, and no man in their right senses would rape anyone. So some women are also doing the same to boys, says Leo, and it's basically a mental issue. Interesting perspective.
Can I address
Leo?
that very
Please
quickly?
do.
Right, so you're right in the sense that we do know that a small percentage of men and boys are raped by women. But however, the largest percentage of rapists is the male form. Men rape men. It is still predominantly men. So whether you like to admit it or not, that's just a fact. It's not about man-nation or man-bashing or whatever it is. Number 1. Number 2, going back to what he was talking about getting them sent to jail. That's the point of the app. We're hoping that with this app, because you're empowering survivors to be able to actually detail their experience and to take it to court. Hopefully we'll be able to get more convictions. That's what I meant when I say it's part of it is also to empower or strengthen our legal system, our society structure. Included in the app is also holistic help. So if you like, it's a one-stop shop. So you've got your pro bono lawyers access. You've got hospitals, because the majority of hospitals in Nigeria don't have rape kits. So you'll be able to identify which hospital in your locality has rape kits.
Which is important.
Which is very, very to gather that physical evidence.
So do
is
not
so important.
wash yourself.
Yeah.
Clean yourself, just go straight to the
Yes,
hospital. They have
we
that
will
kit.
put you in touch. So the app will say, here's the number for this support group that in your area. You can call them. A lot of the advocacy group, and I have to give a shout out to Mirabelle. I have to give a shout out to Warif, and there's so many more. They are doing fantastic work. No More just came in to actually support what they're doing.
Exists.
And this app is actually to support everybody across the board.
Thank you,
Thank you
very
very
much.
much, Ireti.
We pretty much come to the end. Fala asked a very important question, which we'll round up. Asks if there is a phone helpline to sort of report this sort of abuse. There is, listen, for Lagos State at least, we can definitely, they have done a lot of work. They have set up
Yes,
special
I
codes.
forgot to mention.
Please contact DSVRT, okay? So you can call them on either 112, which is the standard emergency line, which you
Yes.
can dial, okay? Don't forget 112. It's a free phone line for you to dial if you are worried, if you're being attacked, if you know someone that's being attacked. That's the number for you to use. You can email them info@dsvrtlagos.org. You can tweet at them. They're simply at DSVRT. Lagos has done very extensive work with trying to tackle this absolute menace. But also with Sina, who's here as the community manager for Girl Gone International. If you would like to reach out for support, Sina, how can people get a hold of you?
So it's on Facebook, and just look for Girl Gone International Lagos. It's just to say this, it's not a support group for survivors
Specifically?
of assault. It's in general.
In general.
Alright.
So just if you need to get out of the house, if you need to become your own person a little more, if you just need
Yeah.
some support to be yourself, to have fun, to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. life.
That's what we're for.
Thank
Okay.
you very, much. All right, Lagos, we've come to that time where we must switch the conversation, but we do understand and we appreciate everyone that sent in messages. If you want to catch a replay of the show, it is up on YouTube. And of course, for No More as well, you can reach out to No More on.
You can follow us on at No More 234NG on Twitter and on Instagram. It's an update on how we're going on with the app and its development.
Thank you
stage.
very much. Time for us to switch lanes and talk about money. This morning, Lagos.